Are you ready for another story? I got one for you. The Pumpkin Giant. A very long time ago, there were no pumpkins. No one had baked a pumpkin pie or made a jack-o'-lantern. There was a time when the Pumpkin Giant lived. The Pumpkin Giant was taller than any other giant. He had a great round head, all smooth and shiny. His eyes glowed like coals in his head. His mouth stretched halfway around his head. The giant lived in a castle, and all around the castle was a moat filled with bones. He was fond of eating little boys and girls, most particularly fat little boys and girls. The fear and terror of the Pumpkin Giant had spread over the whole country, even to the king on his throne, and the poor king had reason to shake. His only daughter, the Princess Ariadne Diana, was the fattest little girl the world has ever seen. So fat was she that she never walked a step. The only way she could get around was by stretching herself out on the earth and rolling. Whenever the princess went rolling, 50 soldiers went along with her. But even so, the king was worried. An old man with little to his name but the potato field he worked and the roof over his head lived not far from the Pumpkin Giant's castle. And this old man had a son who was fatter than the Princess Ariadne Diana. One morning, the farmer and his fat son were out in the potato field, digging up a new crop of potatoes. Suddenly, they felt the earth rumble under their feet. They looked up, and there, striding toward them, was his mouth wide open and his eyes glowing like coals, was the Pumpkin Giant. "Get behind me, son. Hide yourself," said the farmer. The boy rolled behind his father and tried to hide himself, but it did little good, for his fat cheeks stuck out on either side of his father's waistcoat. The Pumpkin Giant came closer and closer, and his big mouth opened wider and wider, until they could almost hear it crack at the corners. When the Pumpkin Giant was right before them, the farmer reached down in his basket of potatoes, picked out the largest one he could find, and threw it straight down the Pumpkin Giant's throat. The Pumpkin Giant choked and gasped, and then fell over. His head smashed as it hit the ground, and pieces flew all over the field. News of the death of the Pumpkin Giant was brought to the king, and he was greatly relieved. The Princess Ariadne Diana was allowed to go rolling without the 50 soldiers getting in the way. The next spring, instead of potatoes in his field, the farmer had queer green running vines in every nook and corner, and in the fall there grew on the vines yellow giants' heads, hundreds of them. The people were thrown into consternation. "If the giants' heads have grown on the vines," they said, "then giants' bodies will follow. And what will we do with an army of pumpkin giants?" But after a while, all the excitement had died down, for bodies did not grow on the vines, and the heads showed no signs of developing mouths. Soon everybody forgot about the queer crop in the farmer's garden. Everybody except the farmer's son. He watched those giants' heads get bigger and bigger and yellower until one day he could stand it no longer. He rolled into the kitchen, got the carving knife, rolled out into the potato field, and cut a piece out of the giant's head and stuffed it in his mouth. He was a little afraid it might make him sick, but the giant's head tasted good, and he ate and ate. "See now, son, what have you done?" his parents said. "Surely you will die." And they sat down and wept, but he didn't die. "I've never felt better in my life, except I'm still hungry," he said. "I'm going out into the potato field for a giant's head, and we shall eat it." "No," said his parents. But the boy had already rolled out into the potato field, and when he came back, he had a great round yellow giant's head in his arms. They all tasted it, and they said it was good. "But," said the farmer's wife, "it would be better if it were cooked." She mixed the giant's head with eggs and milk, sugar and spices, poured the mixture into a pie crust, and put it in the oven. When she took it out an hour later, she had a spicy, sweet, golden brown pumpkin pie. So every day after that, she baked pumpkin pies. It happened that the king was riding by the cottage and sniffed the sweet, spicy smell of baking pumpkin pies. "What smells so good?" said the king, and a piece of pie was brought to him. When he tasted it, he declared he had never eaten anything half so good. And he ordered the farmer's wife to tell him how the pies were made. And she told the king the whole story of the giant's death. When the king returned to the palace that day, the farmer and his family went with him. All the roses in the royal gardens were uprooted and pumpkins planted in their place. The farmer became the head gardener. His wife baked the pies, and their son, why, he did nothing but eat them, with the Princess Ariadne Diana. And the time the farmer's son and the princess were married, it took 50 archbishops to perform that marriage, and the newspapers said there had never been such a well-matched couple as the two of them when they rolled down the aisle after the ceremony.